Delta 2648, descend and maintain 7,000.
Alright, descend to 7,000, Delta 2648.
Boy 3130, reduce speed to 210.
210 speed on board 3130.
Alright, United 887, approach the bridge for 28 left.
United 887, San Francisco Airwing, come, runway 28 left, third line.
28 left, third line, United 887.
Hello everyone, Southern Aviator here, and just inbound to San Francisco here on runway 28 left, and I want to go over misapproach procedures. So for starters, just want to say the first approach, I'm going to shoot two approaches here. The first approach is going to be, hang on a second, flaps 5.
Speed checked, flaps 5.
First approach here is going to be done using all autopilot, and the second was going to be done manually. The two are, there's a small difference in between the two, so I'm going to shoot both of them. So on the first one, the biggest thing is, because it's going to be done using our autopilot, in the 777, we need to understand that until you get above 400 feet, the airplane is basically in manual mode. Once you cross 400 feet, you need, well, excuse me, it's not that it's in manual mode, but after you cross 400 feet, you need to select what your roll and what your pitch mode is going to be. So in this instance, for the pitch mode, it's going to be either VNAV or flight level change, and for the roll mode, it's going to be either LNAV or heading mode. So in this case, I'm going to use VNAV and heading hold, and so I'll execute those after crossing 400 feet. Also, as soon as we call for the missed approach, it's going to be missed approach, and it's going to be flaps 20 right off the bat. And then after that, we'll follow the flap schedules. We'll get a positive rate. We'll call for gear up. It's all going to happen kind of fast, but that's the way it is on missed approaches. It's one of the busier moments on a flight deck. So hopefully that'll all come together and make sense to you. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce now to my final approach speed, which is going to be 145 knots.
2,500.
Gear down. Flaps 20.
Speed checked, flaps 20.
Alright, so as we slow to 145, it's going to be flaps 25 on the landing flaps as well, just so you guys know. Flaps 25.
Speed checked, flaps 25.
Landing checklist.
Speed brakes not on.
Uh-oh. Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete.
Alright, so that's basically it. We're in landing configuration. We're lined up for 28 left on the ILS, and I'm going to try to get it around 250 feet above field elevation, and then I'm going to call for the go-around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit toga for the takeoff go-around, and at the same time I'm going to say go around. Once the go-around is acknowledged from the first officer, then at that point I'm going to call for flaps 20, and at that point I'm really treating it as a takeoff. At that point, essentially, that's what it is.
1,000 feet.
And once I get above 400, I'm going to make sure that VNAV and heading holds are both selected. Alright, so we're at 600.
500 feet.
500. 400.
Alright, so we'll pretend there's an airplane still on the runway.
300.
Go around.
Approaching minimums. Check.
Flaps 20.
Speed checked. Flaps 20. Positive rate.
Gear up. VNAV. Heading hold.
Check. Climb.
Flaps 5.
Speed checked. Flaps 5.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Alright, so missed approach altitude is 4,000 for this runway. So I'm also going to do a speed intervene. I'm going to set the speed for just 230. That should be fine. Flaps up.
Speed checked. Flaps up. 1,000 feet to level.
Alright, so now we're going to go into the after takeoff checklist portion of it.
Engine anti-ice selectors. Auto.
After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete.
Alright, so now that that's done, let's pretend ATC is vectoring us back around for the downwind. So I'll do a heading select.
Check.
So we're going to start a right turn to make a downwind. And at this point, you're going to start all over again. Okay, you're going to do your briefing. Alright, so it's going to be vectors back to ILS. All this stuff stays the same. None of it changes. And then you're going to say descent check.
Stand by. Descent checklist. Recall. Checked.
And I need to
Notes.
checked.
Auto brake level 2. Landing data.
VREF 140. Minimums 200 feet set.
Set. VREF 140. Minimums 200 feet. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Descent checklist complete.
Alright, so at this point now you're going to do an approach checklist. So I'm going to go ahead and check the weather and make sure the altimeter hasn't changed in the last 5 minutes. So altimeter is 3008 still. Approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters
3008 set.
3008. Approach checklist complete.
Alright, so we're going to go back into the FMC. And we're going to redo our approach. Put that in, 28 left. Execute that. So now that's placed back in, so we have that showing up here on our flight display now. And at this point, you're starting back over. Now you will call for flaps 1, flaps 5, flaps 15, so forth and so on. You will repeat the landing. So at this point, we're going to jump back to where we were, and we are going to show how it's done if you are hand flying the approach and you end up having to go missed. Alright guys, so we come back around. So in this approach, basically once we're good and established, and I guess we're just about ready to hit the final approach fix, I am going to take it over. I'm going to fly it manually on both the hand controls as far as the yoke, and I'm also going to take it over on the throttles, so it'll be a full manual approach. And I'll show the difference. In this one is basically you're going to be doing everything manually, kind of using the flight director as you're flying up and out of there, but you're treating it as a takeoff as well. But again, you have to make sure you select a pitch and a roll mode and have those selected so that the autopilot knows what to do and what it is that you want it to do. If you don't, then you won't get the proper thrust settings, and you won't get all the flight director information that you will want to have. So coming in, we're 5 nautical miles from the final approach fix now, and let's go ahead and get it set up and dirty. Flaps 15.
Speed check, flaps 15.
$2,500.
Slow to 145. Gear down. Gear down. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take it over. So we're disarming the autopilot, and there goes the auto throttle. Alright, so we're going to take this over manually now. Flaps 25. Flaps 25.
Speed checked, flaps 25.
Landing checklist.
Speed brakes not on.
Forget that every time. Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. feet. Approach stable.
Alright.
1,000.
Alright, so this point I'm basically just doing a manual landing, you know, until I find out I have to do otherwise. And just like before, we'll just pretend that an airplane didn't get off the runway in time and we're having to go around. And we'll do that around, just around 250 feet, somewhere around that area. I want to make sure I'm under 400 feet.
$500 feet.
500. 400. 300.
Approaching minimums.
Go around.
Check.
Flaps 20.
Speed checked. Flaps 20. Positive rate.
You're up.
feet.
VNAV. Heading home.
Check. Check. Climb.
Flaps 5.
Speed checked. Flaps 5.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 5.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1. 1,000 feet to level 1.
Alright, and there's one thing that I did that I do not want you guys to do, and that is forget to set the missed approach altitude. Flaps up.
Speed checked, flaps up.
Alright, so now he's going to do the after takeoff flow.
Engine anti-ice selectors, auto.
After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. After
Set
takeoff
heading
checklist.
090. Alright guys, and that's it. So from this point we'll start over. We'll do the same thing we would do when we came in for the approach the first time, starting from the top. So
Heading
descent checklist.
090 set. Stand by. Descent checklist. Recall checked. Notes.
Checked.
Auto brake level 2. Landing data.
VREF 140. Minimums 200 feet. Set. Set and check.
VREF 140. Minimums 200 feet. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Descent checklist complete.
Set heading 108.
Heading 108 set.
Approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters.
Set and checked.
Set. Approach checklist complete.
Alright, so there you have it. We're getting vector back around for the downwind. All the descent checklist, approach checklist completed. So at this point I would just go through my flap schedules, come back around and try again for another attempt. So there you have it. I hope that helps with the missed approach procedures. Like I said, I did forget to do one thing, and that was to set the missed approach altitude. And that's actually an important thing to do. So that's a mistake on my part. I don't want you to follow. But other than that, that's the way you want to do it. In any case, you guys take it easy. We'll see you.